Hi, this is Mato. Welcome to my online chess lecture. This is a game from World Chess Championship match 2018, round 2. Magnus Carlsen had white pieces and he started with d4. Fabiano Caruana played knight to f6, knight to f3, d5, c4, queen's gambit, e6, queen's gambit declined, knight to c3, bishop to e7, bishop to f4, Caruana castle at king's side, e3, c5, the most played move, d takes on c5, bishop takes on c5, white to move, queen to c2 was played. If bishop to d3, then d takes on c4 and the bishop must move again. So we have queen to c2, knight to c6, a3 preventing knight to b4, queen to a5 pinning the knight and in some variations intending knight to e4, rook to d1, forking, the queen and the bishop would backfire. Then bishop takes on b4 and if pawn takes bishop, queen takes on a1 check. Back to our game. Rook to d1. It is black to move. There was a surprise at move 10. Caruana played rook to d8. The standard move in this position is rook to e8, intending e5. Rook to d8, a novelty, and the position is already a bit critical. Carlsen played safe. Bishop to e2 was played. b4, again doesn't work. Then knight takes on b4, and after a takes on b4, bishop takes on b4. If rook goes to c1, then knight to e4, and black is better. However, knight to d2 would fully test rook to d8 variation. If d takes on c4, preventing knight to b3, then knight takes on c4, rook takes on d1 check, queen takes on d1, queen to d8, queen takes queen check, knight takes on d8, knight to a4, bishop must go to f8. This is the only good move. If bishop goes to e7, for example, knight from c to b6, a takes on b6, knight takes on b6, rook to a5, knight takes on c8. And let's go back. If after knight to d2, d4 is played, then knight to b3. After queen to b6, knight to a4, and white is better. Back to our game. Bishop to e2, knight to e4, Carlsen castle king's side, knight takes on c3, b takes on c3, h6 preventing knight to g5, a4 saving the pawn, knight to e7. Black would actually like to develop the bishop, the light squared bishop, then c takes on d5, and after e takes on d5, rook takes on d5. So we have knight to e7 to meet pawn takes pawn on d5 with knight takes on d5. Knight to e5, bishop to d6, c takes on d5, knight takes on d5. White to move, another critical position. Carlsen played a move which is easier to calculate. The bishop to f3, no risk move. There was a temptation to sack the knight on f7. But the line is more complex to calculate. But let's see what happens if knight takes on f7. If knight takes on f7, king must take knight, what else? Then bishop to h5 check, king to g8, bishop takes on d6, rook takes on d6, e4, knight to e7, rook takes rook, queen takes on h5, rook to d8 check, king to f7. Who is better? This would be definitely an interesting fight. Back to our game. Bishop to f3. Knight takes on f4. Pawn takes knight. Bishop takes on e5. Rook takes rook. Queen takes rook, pawn takes a bishop on e5, queen to c7 attacking the pawn. Who is better? Black has a better pawn structure. 2 pawn islands, and white has 3 pawn islands. White is better developed. The question is, can white do something with his better development? This is now a very interesting moment of the game. Perhaps the pawn on e5 should be defended. What do you think? Maybe white should play queen to e4. Carlsen played rook to b1, allowing black to take the pawn. Rook to b8. If queen takes on e5, perhaps queen to d3. And after queen to c7, then white may play rook to d1 or queen to b5. Back to our game. Caruana did not take the pawn. He played rook to b8, queen to d3, still offering the pawn on e5. Bishop to d7. Let's take it back. Let's see again what happens if queen takes on e5. This is now even worse for black. Then queen to d8 check, and after king to h7, rook to d1. Queen takes on c3, queen to e8, queen to c7, bishop to e4 check, f5, bishop to f3, e5, h4. Black is 2 pawns up in a very uncomfortable position. Let's say that black would play e4, then bishop to h5, and after queen to c6, queen to e5. White is winning. Back to our game. Bishop to d7. Developing a bishop, a5, bishop to c6. Black is a pawn up and managed to develop his pieces. In this position, Carlsen decided to go for a draw with queen to d6. Queen takes queen, pawn takes queen, bishop takes on f3, pawn takes bishop, king to f8, c4, king to e8, a6, b6, c5, king to d7, just on time, c takes on b6, a takes on b6, if rook takes on b6, rook takes rook, a takes on b6, a7. So we have a takes on b6, a7, rook to a8, rook takes on b6, rook takes on a7, king to g2, e5, intending king to e6 and rook to d7, winning the pawn on d6. Rook to b4, the pawn is lost. f5, king to b6, king to e6, d7, the pawn would die anyway, king takes on d7, rook to b5. In the game 1 of the match, Carlsen was a pawn up, and the game ended in a draw. And now Caruana is a pawn up, and the game will end in a draw. King to e6, rook to b6 check, king to f7, rook to b5, king to f6, rook to b6 check, king to g5, rook to b5, king to f4, rook to b4 check, e4, f takes on e4, f takes on e4. Given time, black would push the h-pawn to h3, give check, and then white king would have to go to the first rank, and this would be a bit uncomfortable. So, Carlsen fixes the problem with h3. Rook to a5, rook to b7, rook to g5 check. Which way the king should go? To h2 or f1? King to f1. If king goes to h2, then king to f3, and after check, king to e2. This is one comfortable position for white. King to f1. Rook to g6, rook to b4, rook to g5, rook to b7, rook to g6, rook to b4. Draw was agreed at move 49. What do you think of this game.
And that is all. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. I wish you good luck with your chess, and bye for now.